Maloeni, you guys. I trust that everyone is doing well today. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here and watching for the first time, hi and welcome. My name is Natasha Malusa, and this is basically a space where we share our experiences, we learn, and we grow. If you're watching from outside the family, please do come in and become a part of this beautiful family just by clicking that subscribe button below. And don't forget to hit your notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my videos going further. And for all the returning family members, welcome back, fam! You know the house rule, you grab a drink of something and we enjoy. Hey guys, so as per my previous video that I shared with you guys regarding me getting a job, I did say that if anyone was interested in maybe getting some tips or me showing you guys how my CV looks, they should let me know in the comment section. And I think there was one or two people who did reach out to me and were interested in getting some tips for interviews or just generally tips regarding job hunting, right? And I decided, let me just do this video today. So here we are. So today I am going to be sharing with you guys some tips and advice on how to get a job and be employable. Just a disclaimer, I am a South African living in the Netherlands. So I don't know if these tips would apply in general wherever you are in the world, but I do believe that I would like to believe that what do you call this? The recruitment process is probably the same regardless of what country you are. You obviously have to go through an interview, you have to prepare for it, and all the stages that the recruitment process will have, right? So I am a South African living in the Netherlands at the moment, and I should mention that some of the points that I'm going to share I did also take from a video that I once posted on my Facebook, where I was literally doing the same thing. I was giving advice regarding being employable and some tips and advice regarding preparing for interviews, and literally some tips and advice for job searching, right? So anyways, let's get straight into the video, guys. So the first most important tip that I'm going to give you is that firstly, you need to know exactly the field that you want to look for a job in, right? Number one. Number two, you need to know what job title or titles that you are interested in working at. Number three, the most important thing is that you should pray, right? The reason I mentioned these three things is because, firstly, sometimes people apply for jobs in each and every field, even fields that they don't qualify for, or fields that they know they wouldn't really want to work in. And then when an opportunity arises for a person to go for an interview, kubone, like in that specific position, in that specific field, and then all of a sudden a person is like, no, this is not what I want. And that demotivates you as a person, because obviously that means that you might have to let go of the job should they maybe contact you for an interview. So that's the first point. You need to know what fields that you're looking for. I know when you are really desperate, you literally submit your CV anyway, but I would highly recommend that you know what you want, you know the direction that you want to go. It's going to save you a lot of time, also going to assist you from unnecessary rejection and disappointment, right? So that's the first thing. Know the field that you're searching in. For example, I work in the logistics field, right? So it wouldn't make sense for me to be searching for a job like in the medical field or health and sciences field. So that's just an example that I'm making of the importance of knowing what field that you want to work in. Number two, the job title. Make sure you know the job title that you want to hold. If you want to, for example, I'll just use an example of the logistics field. If you want to be a logistics coordinator, if you want to be a warehouse administrator, if you want to work as a buyer, if you want to work as a purchasing and procurement officer, if you want to work as a picker, if you want to work as a stock management controller, Those are just examples that I'm making. You need to be specific and know exactly the job titles that you would like to work in, or you see yourself working in. That literally narrows down the list from applying for unnecessary positions that you know you wouldn't want to work in. For example, in my specific life, I don't really like things that have to do with stock a lot, and that's just honestly who I am. I don't like izinto ezidibene stock management and having to count stock and all of that, but I don't mind doing it in the workplaces if I have to, because obviously if it's a requirement, it's a requirement. But I wouldn't necessarily look for a job that literally requires me to work with stock like every day that I'm at work, having to work in that position, because I wouldn't enjoy it, right? So that's just an example that I'm making, that it's important to know the role that you also want to work in. There are some roles in logistics that I know that I really like, and there are some roles in logistics that I know that I don't like and they are not for me. And it's very important to be honest with yourself, because you don't want to find yourself in a position where you get a job, or rather you get an opportunity for an interview in a position that you don't see yourself working in, or in something that you don't enjoy, and having to again turn down that opportunity, or not even have to go through the interview process because this is not a role that you see yourself in, right? So doing those first two things, knowing the field that you want to work in and knowing the roles or the positions that you would like to work in, literally narrows down the list for you. It makes it easier for you. Now, when you start applying for jobs, you are literally applying for jobs, you're literally applying in fields, and you're literally applying for positions that you know that if that opportunity would come for you to go for an interview, for you to eventually get an offer, it's something that you would actually enjoy and you would look forward to. Then the third advice or point would be that you need to make sure that you pray. Pray. Actually, this should be the first thing that you do before you decide on the other two things. You should actually first pray about where you want to go, what you want to do, and where God wants you to be. That's the most important thing that I want to mention, is that it's important to pray that God directs you in his direction, that he shows you where he wants you to go, and he leads you to the place that he wants you to be at. Because sometimes we have all these dreams and aspirations and all these visions, and we have, we literally know exactly that this is where we want to be, this is what we want to do, and this is the company we want to work for, this is a position we want to work in. Meanwhile, God is just sitting there and like, child, I'm just going to let you dream, but that's not where I want you to be. So I think that's another important thing, that sometimes we need to learn to allow God to take us where he wants. And sometimes where God wants us to go may not necessarily be in alignment with the dreams and the goals that we have for ourselves. And at times it may be disappointing, it may be hurtful, we may not understand it, but at the end of the day, when it all makes sense and when we connect the dots, we'll start to understand why God placed us in those positions. And one thing about God, he's a God of order. He's not a God of disorder. He's a God who's omnipotent. He's a God who is omniscient. He's a God who's omnipresent. He knows exactly what we need, guys. He knows exactly where we need to be. And sometimes it may not make sense in the beginning, but eventually when we do look back and we connect the dots, we eventually do understand why God places us in certain positions and workplaces. Just to give a bit of a testimony, for example, me, I'm used to working in the automotive industry, right? Literally, that's probably the main industry that I've worked in my logistics career. And for the first time, I got exposed to a different industry where I'm working in the industry of glass and optic, like in an industry that literally focuses on precision. So for me, it was a totally different industry. And I remember at first when I got the job, I was like, okay, God, you know my dream, you know my love for automotive. But I knew that God had a reason, and his reason was more powerful than my reason of wanting to stay in the automotive industry. So I just had to let things unfold by themselves. And eventually, guys, when I was in the job, I think for like a couple of weeks, I started to actually connect the dots of why I was there. It made sense because I had prayed to God to actually work in a job role that was similar to a job I once had in South Africa, right? And I really enjoyed the job. I literally enjoyed everything that I was doing in that job, guys. Yes, like any job, it was challenging, it was stressful at times. Just like any job, it can be very challenging, but I really enjoyed what I was doing in that job in South Africa. And I used to pray to God like all these years. I was like, I hope one day I could find a job that was similar to what I was doing. And here am I in a totally different field than what I'm used to, but doing a job very similar to the job that I always loved doing in South Africa. And this is why I was sharing to you guys that sometimes we may question, we may not understand why God places us in certain positions and certain fields, but at the end of the day, when it all starts to make sense, you start to realize why God put you there, right? So those are the first three things that I wanted to put one side and mention. Then we're gonna go straight into the points, the tips and advices. I'm going to be looking down quite frequently, and that's because I have all my notes here. So first tip that I want to give you guys is that your CV should be captivating, it should be simple, and it should be straight to the point. Okay? Guys, CVs that are like overly decorated, that have unnecessary decorations and border lines and this and that and colorful, those things are literally overrated now. Your CV should be simple, it should be captivating and straight to the point. Your CV should be the reason why a recruiter throws all the other ones away and actually is captivated by yours. It should highlight the important points that the recruiter wants to see the first time she glances on it for like 5 seconds, right? The second point that I'm going to share is that it should not be more than 2 pages. The maximum pages that it should have is actually 4, and that is even a lot. But if you want to add extra information, that should be at the back. The first 2 pages must be captivated. They should literally tell the recruiter who you are, where you're from, where you've worked, your main positions you've worked in, and you should make sure that the positions and the experience that captivates her are ones that are fit and similar to the job that you have applied for. So you want to make sure that whatever she reads at first glance or he reads at first glance should be very captivating to a point whereby they want to put your CV aside and say, we need to consider this person. And then the third point is that make sure your CV is updated with the important skills that you have, the employment dates. Make sure these are very correct, guys. Like the time frames that you have worked in specific jobs and specific positions and roles. Make sure you have stipulated your education. So this should be from varsity. You can mention your high school that you attended, but that should be it. Nothing more than this is the high school that I went to and this is the location of the high school, and that's about it. They're not interested in knowing the subjects that you did in high school, because at the end of the day, if you are in the working industry now and you have previous experience and you have a university or college diploma or degree or certificate, that would obviously mean that you did matriculate. So they're not interested in knowing what subjects that you did. Also make sure that if you do put references on your CV, the numbers or the contact information of those people is updated. Another point that I want to share about putting references on your CV is that you need to be very careful of putting references of people who either are not interested in giving reference for you or people who didn't like you. What I mean by this is that sometimes you may put someone on your CV who may not actually give a good word for you. So it's very important to make sure that you put someone there who you had a good relationship with, who you know wouldn't sabotage you should they get contacted for a specific role that you might have applied for, right? Okay, moving along. The fourth point is that don't put things that are unnecessary, such as your health status, your ID number, high school subjects, health history, and your date of birth, right? Date of birth is optional. but I don't think it's necessary for you to put it. If they are interested in wanting to know how old you are and when you were born, they'll probably ask it. But some people do put like their date of birth, which is okay, because maybe some recruiters actually want to know how old you are before they recruit you. But I do also feel like sometimes putting your date of birth can actually be a bit of a sabotage for yourself, because if maybe you're too old or too young for the position, they could easily like disregard your CV. So it's really up to you. I think I did put my date of birth, yeah, because I had it on my old CV. But I've now learned that maybe it's not such a good idea to put it. If they do request for it, then you can actually provide it to them. But yes, health status is a no-no, guys. There's absolutely no need for you to tell people that your health is excellent, you don't suffer from any chronic diseases. That is none of their business. What's important is that you are healthy enough for you to do the job. Your ID number is literally unimportant. It's actually safe for you to not even put it there. I don't know if some of you might know, but I once shared a video on my YouTube channel of how someone actually stole my identity because I put my ID number on my CV. And I think I might have disposed my CV in the bin, and maybe somewhere along the line someone actually discovered my CV, or it could have been online. I'm not sure how it happened, but they discovered my CV, had my identity number on it, and it had all my details on it, my date of birth, it had my name, my surname, my address, like everything that a person could actually use for identity theft. So I would highly advise, do not put your identity number on your CV. Do not put your address on your CV. If they require it, they will ask for it. If they want to know where you live, they will ask for it. The best thing to put is just to put your location and the country that you actually reside in. I think that's the best thing. If they want to know specifically where you stay, they can probably ask you once they do contact you for further information or for an interview. High school subject, as I mentioned in the previous point, not necessary. You don't have to put your high school subjects. As I said, if you have stipulated that you have a university degree, a diploma, or a college certificate, obviously that means you did matriculate, you did your grade 12, so they do not need to know what subjects you did in high school. Fifth point is that make sure you sign up on career platforms. The one career platform, guys, that I should highly recommend is LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn, guys, is the number one platform that you want to be. Personally, LinkedIn has opened a lot of doors for me, especially in my career. So I would advise you to have a LinkedIn platform. That's the number one platform that easily connects you to people, guys. Like, LinkedIn is just a great platform. It can easily attract recruiters, companies, and generally people from other companies to your platform, and you can easily also connect and follow other companies and people on that platform, unlike other career platforms where it's just a platform of you submitting a CV, having an online profile, and companies generally just coming across your profile and your CV, right? So I would highly recommend being on all the other career platforms, and also make sure you have a LinkedIn profile. Make sure your LinkedIn profile make sure it has the right information. It has information that makes you stand out, right? Make sure that I think it's called a bio, which is a short description of who you are, where you've worked. Make sure it captivates. It tells how much experience you have, how many years of experience you have, what fields you have worked in, and basically a bit of who you are, right? Connect with people, especially on LinkedIn, guys. I cannot emphasize this point enough. Connect, guys. Don't be afraid. Follow all those companies that you dream of working at, or that you find interesting. Follow the people that you find interesting. Guys, the power of the digital world and social media is that your name and your surname and who you are can land up in the right direction, in the right company, in the right mouth, in the right mind, in the hands of the right person who might be the person who's going to help you to elevate to the next level of your life. So connect. Sometimes I follow people I don't even know, but because I find them interesting, maybe I find their profiles interesting, maybe they are people who work in companies that I would ultimately like to work in. It literally allows people to find you. Like, it's the same as Instagram algorithm, guys. The more you comment on people's posts, the more you repost people's posts, the more you follow people, the more you interact and engage on people's social media platforms, the more the algorithm suggests you to other people, and the more people will find you. It's as simple as that. Number 7 is that have at least one social media platform that companies can find you on when they do search for you. Now, I know that some people are really private people and they prefer to keep their private lives private. I know some people don't want to have any social media platforms. I respect people who live that life. They have their own personal reasons why they do. But if you're a job seeker, that is not good for you. I should just put it out there, right? And hear me out. So, one thing I've learned is that not having any socials or even LinkedIn might be a slight red flag to recruiters and to companies who are interested in you. This may make them feel like you maybe have something to hide, or maybe you are not who you say you are on your CV. So give me a chance to explain this, right? So for example, let's say you are a job seeker and you're applying at all these companies and all these jobs. You do not have Facebook, you do not have Instagram, you do not have LinkedIn, you do not have Twitter. You literally don't have the most important and big social media platforms, right? So here, a job recruiter is looking for you, and they want to know a bit more about who you are outside of your CV. One thing you should know, guys, about recruitment companies and companies in general, they want to know who you are before they know who you are. If you don't understand what I mean, then I don't know what you're doing with your life, because it's literally that simple. They want to know who you are before they hire who you say you are on your CV. So they want to get to know who you are on a social level. Like, what do you do on weekends? What are you posting about? Who you are? They want to have a feel of who is the person that they're going to allow to enter into their company, to enter into this department. Because remember, each department has a different dynamic, right? We have different people. So if they want to hire you, they want to see if you're going to fit into that specific department and into that specific group of people, which is why it's important for you to at least have one social media platform where people can see what you post and just have a feel about who you are on a social level, and just generally get a glimpse of who you are before they actually get to know who you are by inviting you to the interview, right? The 8th and last point that I want to share is that you need to be yourself and you need to sell yourself at the same time. So being yourself is not you getting there and being your humble self. Yes, you need to be yourself. Don't try and be someone you're not, because you don't want them to hire Natasha from the interview, and then when Natasha is in the job, she's a different person, right? You want to make sure that you allow them to know who you are. Let them hire Natasha, the real Natasha, so that the real Natasha is the Natasha that they're going to get exposed to during the job, in the workplace, yabo. But at the same time, sell yourself. Me saying sell yourself doesn't mean that you should get there and be someone different. This is why I'm mentioning these 2 points together, that you should be yourself but also sell yourself. So be yourself, be authentic, be genuine, be who you are. If you're a bubbly person, be the bubbly person that you are in the interview. You don't want to get into the job and then they're like, yo, this person talks too much, this person is too loud or whatever. No, be the person you are. If you're a quiet person, remain your quiet self during the interview, but at the same time, it's very important to sell yourself. So you need to be yourself, but also sell yourself, because at the end of the day, God can grant you the opportunity. He can bring the opportunity to you. But if you also don't sell yourself and make them see that you want this job and make them see that you are actually the best fit for the job, then you could easily lose the job, right? So it's important to sell yourself and be confident in yourself and make them believe that you are the best fit for the job while also remaining yourself. Don't get there and try and be humble, guys. Humility is good. It's actually spiritually good, but humility in interviews can actually be your make or break. You want to get there and just be yourself, but also sell yourself. So for me personally, I'm an extrovert, right? And I'm very confident in myself, and I know how to sell myself. And one thing about me, guys, in every interview, person that I present myself in interviews is the same person that I am at home. It's the same person that I am in my friendships, and is the same person that I am in my relationship. Like literally, I don't change. I'm who I am at all times. So I get there being my talkative self, being my inquisitive self who asks a lot of questions, and at the same time I sell myself. This is not trying to say that you should be too much. Yeah, don't be too much. Don't overexert yourself. Don't be too loud. Don't be too overly confident. Just trying doing a small pinches of everything, and everything in moderation. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Everything in moderation. Actually have a bit of confidence here, a bit of humility while remaining who you are. Those are the points that I wanted to share. I really hope they do help someone. Please do share this video for whoever might need it around your circle. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't, guys. Give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel. And most importantly, let me know how you feel about this video. If there's anything that you still have questions about, if there are any questions that you have for me, if there are any other video suggestions regarding this whole topic of job seeking, being employable, if you have any questions or any other video suggestions that you would like me to do in this area, then you can actually let me know. Social media platforms, it's Natasha _ Mulusa, and that's just pretty much about it. I'll catch you guys in the next video.